There we go. So welcome to the 6th grade curriculum night. I'm Miriam Holmes. I'm one of the 6th grade humanities teachers. I'm one of the teachers for 603 and 604. If you want to be able to see who's talking, I suggest that you put it in speaker mode. I will do my best to pin who's talking, but there are a bunch of other things that are going on at the same time. We are recording this, so if there's anyone who is unable to make it or anyone who wants to go back and see what we talked about, the recording will be sent out probably tomorrow, but definitely, if not, early next week. I know that Mr. G sent out email addresses for all the teachers. We will also have them up at the end of the slideshow. If you have any general questions, you're welcome to type them in the chat. If we have time, we'll answer them. But all of the teachers will be available by email for the next few hours. So if you have any certainly personal questions, please feel free to email or send a message on Jupiter. So the way that this is going to go for today is that first we'll talk about school-wide information, then we will talk about the humanities teachers will explain what the year will look like, then the math teachers will explain what the year will look like, and then Ms. Rose will explain what science will look like, and finally Ms. Bernstein is here as a representation of the guidance team. So with that,
you want me to start? Oh, hi. My name is Tracy Piscopia. I am one of the humanities teachers for 605 and 606. So this first slide, Miriam, I'm unable to see some of it, but it's all about AI. And let me just fix the view. Hold on a second. That's my fault. This is basically AI, obviously artificial intelligence, that the students are not allowed to use in school. I can read this to you. Middle school students are still developing essential thinking, reading, and writing skills. AI tools such as ChatGPT may prevent genuine learning and misrepresent the students' abilities. For this reason, AI tools should not be used for schoolwork unless the teacher gives explicit permission and guidance. We did have some children trying to use it last year. That's why it's come up this year, and it's on across the grade levels. If AI use is suspected, the teacher will meet with the student to discuss the concern first. Parent or guardian will be informed about it. The students will have the opportunity to revise and resubmit by a set due date. If the assignment is not resubmitted, that student will get a 0 for that assignment. If they misuse it again, assignments will receive a 0 without the opportunity to resubmit it. So please, please, please talk to your kids about not using AI. We want to see their work. That's the best way for us to see what they're really capable of doing.
Hi, I'm Rachel Mann. I'm the ESL teacher for 6th grade. This slide is going to talk about Jupiter Ed, which is our grading and messaging system. And you all should have received sheets sent home with your child that puts you onto Jupiter. And it is our digital grade book for teachers, and it's also how we communicate. So families can view their child's assignments and grades in Jupiter Ed. Families can communicate with us through Jupiter Ed, and your child has an account and you also have an account separate from theirs. If for some reason you don't have an account, you can contact Enid Para, who is the parent coordinator, and her email is on the screen right there. These are some important dates that we just want you to keep in mind for this school year. October 15th is Picture Day. November 13th is our first parent-teacher conferences. December 5th is the end of our first marking period. And then we have another parent-teacher conference on March 12th. And then the end of the second marking period is on the 19th.
Mr. Abo, you're up.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. There we go. Hi. So the honor roll criteria for the school, there is a gold and silver honor roll. The kids are aware of it. They also see as they walk through the hallways, they see their potential. in order to qualify for the gold and the silver, you either need obviously the absences also. So
I believe you muted yourself by accident, Mr. Abo.
that's all right. No, there you go. Can you hear me? Is there more?
Okay, so my name is Janine Mitchell. I'm the special education humanities teacher for 604. Oh dear. So in the spring, your child may be eligible for the National Junior Honor Society if they are able to maintain the gold honor roll for all marking periods. Along with being eligible for the Honor Society, they must complete some volunteer hours. They have to complete a minimum of 10 hours during the school year from September to April. So if this is something that your child wants to do, volunteer hours must be kept. On the next slide, we'll show you some example of some things that students can do in school and outside of school to complete volunteer hours. They have to complete and submit a service log. There will be a link to the service log that will be available to students once eligibility rolls out in the spring. In addition to completing the volunteer hours, students must also write an essay. Students will be required to submit an essay explaining how they demonstrate the qualities of leadership, citizenship, service, and character. The essays will be reviewed by a committee, and students who fulfill all requirements will receive an invitation to the induction ceremony for the National Junior Honor Society. So here are some examples of what students can do for service requirements. As previously stated, students must volunteer for a minimum of 10 hours during the school year with a community service organization or an approved school activity. So this can include volunteering at nursing homes, animal shelters, soup kitchens, hospitals, any religious organizations. They can volunteer at a local elementary school, Meals on Wheels, or they can do something for the Boys and Girl Scouts. We also have students who are able to complete their in-service activities within the school building. This includes volunteering for the New Voices tech team during the school musical, performing during the school musical, assisting New Voices teachers either before school, after school, or during lunchtime, and helping with food and clothing drives.
So these are our homeroom expectations. Homeroom begins at 8:15 a.m. Students must report to homeroom at 8:15, and they will be marked late starting at 8:20. The purpose of homeroom is to take attendance. Announcements are also made for the students. They can hang up their jackets and coats and organize and plan for the day, as well as give in their phone, which is going to be spoken about in the next slide.
Hi, I'm Melissa Hart, and I am Humanities 601 and 602. So the new policy this year, the new state law is no cell phones are allowed in school or any personal internet-enabled device during the school day. So in morning homeroom, we will be collecting them, putting them in pouches with their name and class, and locked in our lockers in our classroom. They will be returned to the students at the end of the day. They have homeroom from 2:30 to 2:35 when they can come and pick up their phones. If they are late to school, then when they enter the building, they will turn it into room 310, which is where students report to say they are present when they are late. And they will also pick their phones up in 310 at dismissal. If they refuse to lock away their phone, it's considered a violation, and the disciplinary actions are itemized in the Jupiter message that Mr. Giordano sent home a little while ago today. So any student who needs to call home, they can go to 310. And right, again, there was an email sent out by Mr. Giordano on Jupiter today, which goes into more detail about the cell phone policy. All right, so next we're going to hear from the 6th grade humanities teachers. Hello again. So you should have received our welcome letter, which kind of goes over all of this, but we look at ELA and social studies. We blend them together in a subject called humanities. That's why there's one grade
that they get for both, because the subjects are combined and blended and integrated. And our essential question for the whole year is, how do we identify ourselves? How are people changed through their relationships and experiences? How does what we read and write form and reflect our identities? And how does the study of ancient civilizations inform the way we understand society then and now? So we're going to be reading a lot of diverse texts, fiction and nonfiction, and synthesizing them through that lens.
So at the beginning of the year, we start the year with Reading Wonder, as if you all already know, and then we end the year with our novel, The Giver. So as a class, we work on building an understanding of identity and community through our discussions of short stories, the 2 novels, as well as our study of past civilizations. As the year progresses, we'll build on these understandings through analyzing plays, articles, as well as participating in projects, debates, and Socratic seminars.
Ms. Piscopia, you're up.
My name wasn't on that slide. I didn't know. Okay, so ELA reading. We have it. Oh, I didn't realize iReady was on this one. Okay, so iReady is a computer-based program accessible through TeachHub. The students will take a diagnostic exam 3 times a year in the very beginning of the year, which they've already taken. Once again, probably in January, and then again towards the end of the year. The diagnostic allows us to see. It actually allows the program to create a personalized lesson for the students that they can work on it each week. Okay. The program also provides teachers with data about student skills, which helps teachers to create small groups for targeted instruction. This is something that the students have to work on every week. We start off with 30 minutes a week with 2 lessons that they have to pass. And after that, it goes up to 45 minutes a week. And it actually fluctuates with how well they're doing. So we're able to keep track of what their strengths and weaknesses are in reading comprehension. Yep.
In terms of writing in humanities, we will study and practice various writing genres throughout the school year. Writing pieces include literary, informative, and argumentative essays, which students reflect on the content that we're studying in both English and in social studies. By the end of the year, students will be prepared to discuss identity and community in the dystopian novel, The Giver. Most writing assignments are computer-based. We want students to be as proficient as possible with typing. So one program they can use to type is typing.com. It's a good option for practicing typing if you feel like your child, or if your child doesn't feel comfortable with typing. Using typing.com will help them build a little bit more fluency around using the computer and typing.
Hi, I'm Miss Ponatowski, so I'm with 606 and 605. So we obviously are humanities. So the other part, in addition to the reading, writing, would be the social studies component. So as you can see, we have ancient civilizations of the Eastern Hemisphere kind of being the focus. And we start with prehistory, early humans. We talk a bit about themes of geography. Then we go into the ancient river civilizations, so Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, the Indus Valley, and some Chinese dynasties. Then we go into ancient Rome, or before that would be Greece, and then we'll touch on some ancient African kingdoms. So I have some images here that kind of reflect what they get excited about, what they enjoy learning about. And then we have kind of our elements of culture that we focus on throughout the units in social studies, which are communication, how civilizations and how people have been communicating through the ages, art forms, social structure, social behavior, institutions, economic base, and technology. So how that has evolved over time. And we do a lot of project-based, project-based opportunities. And I feel like that's maybe one of my favorite elements to the social studies component. So we have them create an artifact where they'll be working with a partner to kind of compare and contrast 2 different ancient civilizations, and there's a 3D model involved. So there's definitely lots to get excited about in the social studies. All right, so grading. If you want to give me another click, Miriam, that'd be great. Google Classroom and Jupyter Ed, two places where you all can keep track of the grades for the kids. And if you give it another click, we'll just see the grading breakdown. So assessments are going to be 40% of the grade, so weighted more heavily. Then we have homework and classwork being 30%. Independent reading, 20%, participation is 10%. And like Missy said a while ago, one humanities grade will be given. So when you go into Jupyter Ed and you're checking out the grades, you will only see the grades compiling in the ELA portion. And that's just how we do it. And then when they get their report card at the end of the trimester, you will see that grade appear twice. And anytime you have questions about grading, feel free to reach out on Jupyter or encourage your student at home to come to us and chat with us about that.
Hi, back to me. All right, so this is homeschool communication, something that we 100% encourage parents and guardians to take part in. Number one, we have a student planner. Student planner is where the kids copy down their homework, of course, each day. Sometimes they write down full sentences, sometimes they don't, depends on the class. Please make sure that you check that planner to make sure that the homework is being copied, and so that you also, as a parent or guardian, know what your child is expected to do each day. Jupyter. So Jupyter and DOE emails. You can message the teachers through Jupyter Ed, which we've already spoken about, or using the NYC DOE email address, which you'll see at the end of the slides. All teachers' email addresses will be provided. Oh, I just said that at the end of the presentation. It is very easy to reach us. Okay, so please don't feel like you can't get in touch with us. If we don't get back to you that day, we'll do our best to get back to you the next day. But please, if there's any issues, anything that you need to tell us about your child or something that you're seeing at home, please let us know. Please reach out to us. Google Classroom. Students will be using their DOE emails to access Google Classroom. Many of you know this already. You should be using the information to get into Google Classroom as well. They have everything in their planners. Check Google Classroom through their account. You can even put it on your own phone or on your own device and let them sign into it. This way you can see what they're doing each day. All of the homework is in there. Thank you.
So like I said before, I'm Miss Mann. I'm the English as a second language teacher, and I'm work with the 6th grade humanities classes a few periods a week in order to support the English language learners. So I will be working with them to foster and strengthen their reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills, as well as help with anything else that they are struggling with in humanities. If you have any questions, you can feel free to contact me.
Hello. So I am the speech and language provider for the 6th and 7th grades at New Voices. For the kids in our community who have IEPs and have speech and language services. As part of that IEP, services are provided generally within the classroom to support the students with curriculum-based language needs, reading comprehension, contrasting comprehension, contrasting and contradicting things. Anything of that nature falls under this category, so students will be helped and supported with these needs as per their IEPs. And you can always also reach me through Jupyter if you have any questions or any specific needs that need to be addressed.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Weeks. I teach alongside Colleen Amaro in 604, 605, and 606. I'm going to walk you a little bit through 6th grade math. First, we're going to take a look at our math contract, which each of you should have received. It's pretty simple, 6 items we are asking students to bring to and from home. 1, their notebook, glue sticks, which we also have in the classroom, sharpened pencils. We just ask students to come ready and prepared, but we also have those as well. Their folder, a stylus for when we're working on the iPad, and a TI-34 calculator. No worries if you leave that at home. We have some in class as well, but it's better for a student to get used to their own calculator. On the other side, I'm going to talk a little bit about the grading policy. There's 4 criteria. There's assessments, homework, ALEKS, and classwork participation. So assessments are made up of projects, tests, and quizzes. Typically, each unit, we will have a mid-unit test, which is halfway in between the beginning and end of the unit. And then we will have an end of unit test. That is 50% of our students' grade. Homework is 10% of the student's grade. So they're getting either full credit, half credit, or 0 credit on their homework. ALEX, which is our online enrichment math program, that is 15% of their grade. Every student is asked to fulfill 15 topics between Monday and Sunday night. If a student only gets partial or part of their ALEX done, we can't give them additional time. It automatically rolls over to the next week. And classwork and participation is 25%. So turn and talk, small group, whole group, and of course, questions, obviously raising their hand and participating. I'm going to walk you a little bit through what math looks like on a daily basis. So our daily activities, we are modeling examples. We are doing tons of problem solving. We have online components, online activities, and obviously our hands-on activities. Notes, which are taken in their notebook. We ask for them to be thoughtful, structured, organized, and interactive, meaning they're useful for students to take a look and support their learning. Assessments, quizzes, and tests are always announced. Performance tasks and class projects, typically we will put on Google Classroom, so you'll have a way of seeing what we are doing in the classroom. And finally, I'm going to walk you through our homework and notebook expectation. At the very top, I'm going to go over full credit or exemplary. So we asked for their homework to be completed and labeled. So all of their work, we have units, we have labeling. It's organized and clear. We ask that we don't work harder on looking for their work than they do at showing their work. And so, and then that the work is accurate. Last but not least is our notebook. So again, we want to be useful. We want to be a resource for our students to refer to when they are looking at or getting ready for tests and quizzes. So keeping your notebook organized, having ownership over it, bringing it every day, thoroughness, make sure it's complete. It shows effort. Again, bring it to and from home every single day. It's also a way for us to communicate with you, for you to get a chance to see what students are learning in math. Organized, openness, so again, open to feedback and suggestions and retrying some things out. And again, it's a way for them to use as a tool to expand their knowledge.
Hi again, or hi, I'm Colleen Morrow. I teach with Matt Weeks. We have homeroom 606, and then like he shared, teaching math to classes 604, 605, and 606. So I believe this year we asked for the students to have a graphing notebook for our class. A lot of them do have that, and some students, they brought in a traditional notebook, and we have graph paper available for them for the most part. Obviously, we need them to have their pencil sharpened and ready to go. A 2-pocket folder so that they could transport things to and from school, and they'll be ready for math. There are some additional things that they might have, colored pencils, highlighters. We do have those things in the classroom, and we encourage them to use them if it makes their notes more clear for when they're at home and studying, or maybe when you're looking at their work so that you could help them the way that they learned in class. So those are the basic things that we ask them to have. As Weeks was saying, we do have other items in the classroom, rulers and glue sticks and scissors and whatnot. I do know some of the students bring them in and they like to use their own, but we do have extra materials in the classroom. So in math class, we use a program called ALEX. Mr. Weeks talked about it a little bit, and I know that Mr. D is going to get into that in the next slide or two. Also, Google Classroom, a lot of communication will happen with the students on Google Classroom. We're expecting students to do their assignments, and the big one is show their work. I feel like in this first unit, we're doing a lot of multiplication, trying to find area of different polygons, and some of them are basic facts. So, students, they just know that 6 times 5 is 30, but we want to see like some kind of formula written out or something labeled as base and height, just so we can follow their thinking through, especially as the work becomes more complicated. And we'd like their work obviously to be neat. It should stand alone. We shouldn't have to sit with the student and say, okay, show me what you did next, and what did you do after that? We want to be able to follow it along. And then again, it'll be helpful to them when they're studying for assessments, or to an adult at home or an older sibling who might be helping them with some assignments. So we want them to come to class prepared and ready to learn. And obviously a big one, especially I think in 6th grade, is, trying to get them to raise their hand to ask for help when they need it. So we want them to have a little bit of productive struggle, sit with something for a little while, see if they have other strategies to figure something out, but then definitely to ask for help if they are just totally stuck.
Hi, my name is Peter DeRoche. I teach classes 601, 602, and 603. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the Math 6th grade resources. Our primary curriculum is the IM curriculum. This is a district mandated curriculum we've been using for the past 2 years. If you see IM materials, it looks a lot different from textbooks that your child might have used in elementary school. It's certainly different from the textbooks we used ourselves. IM is really focused on a conceptual understanding, not just a procedural. So like Mr. Marr was saying with showing work, it really gets students to examine their thought process. And one of the strengths of the program is that it really asks a lot of leading questions so that when students are eventually trying to create work on their own, they kind of have the structure to understand what makes good work, what makes work that stands alone and that is easy for other people to follow. I will talk a little bit more about Alex. Alex, you've probably already heard of because Alex is a component you're going to be seeing a lot of at home, whereas IM is mostly something that we are using in the classroom. So I'll talk a little bit more about the flow of IM and the curriculum we're following this year, and then after that, Alex. Okay, so the overview of the IM units. Hopefully some of these things look familiar. As Mr. Morrow mentioned, we're starting off with area and surface area, so talking about shapes and different ways that we can examine geometry mathematically. From there, we're moving on to some really big topics that are big for not just 6th grade, but also carrying through into basically high school level math, dealing with ratios, unit rates and percents, fractions. Unfortunately, for anyone whose student is not a fan of fractions, fractions come back a lot. The good news is we also have assistance of calculators to kind of help them work through, but we do need them, again, to have this understanding and fluency with doing it on their own. Arithmetic in base 10 means we're dealing with decimals. It's just a fancy way of saying we're dealing with decimal numbers and how that structure works. Expressions and equations is when we dip our toes into algebra, which for some students can be a little frightening because they're not quite sure why all of a sudden we have letters in math. But I can assure you that IM addresses it in a way that it makes a lot of conceptual sense, and it's not just a series of rules that people memorize and don't understand what they mean. From there, we head into rational numbers and data sets and distributions. So dealing with a lot of like real life stuff. Whenever students ask us, when do people use this in real life? The answer is a lot of times when we're looking at data. So we really hit that towards the end of the year. That's our IM overview. And I'll talk about Alex, which is kind of important to understand. They are sort of two separate things. IM is our main curriculum and Alex is student support. So I'll talk about Alex when we get to the next slide. So what is Alex is kind of a key question that a lot of students and parents who are coming in maybe don't necessarily understand. IM is our curriculum, and as I mentioned, it's incredibly conceptually based. Alex is a self-paced math learning program where students really work on their skills, a lot of procedural steps and a lot of background knowledge that isn't necessarily covered in the IM curriculum. For students who kind of struggle with some elementary school topics, Alex provides the additional practice and exposure and review that isn't actually factored into the 6th grade curriculum. For students who are kind of more advanced, very comfortable at grade level, Alex can challenge them so that they're getting these background skills and extending it and also kind of preparing for what comes beyond. A couple of weeks ago in school, the students took the initial knowledge check, which is a test that allows Alex to individualize their program and kind of scale it to them. That's something that we'll do throughout the course of the year to kind of recalibrate the system. The key component for what you need to worry about is that students must complete 15 topics, which are essentially mini lessons from Monday to Sunday each week. The Alex week runs from Monday to Sunday, so they need to have those 15 topics done by Sunday evening. What we tell students all the time is please just try to do 3 per day. If you do 3 per day, Monday through Friday, you're all set and you have your 15 done. One of the challenges sometimes is that students kind of say, well, wait, you didn't tell me to do topics. And we remind them a lot in September, but even with the reminders, sometimes students don't understand that's something you're doing. It's not something we're constantly saying, do this topic or this specific topic. It's an individualized practice, basically, that they're responsible for. So that's certainly something to work with your child on if they're having trouble kind of structuring it and making sure they're keeping up with it. And check in with your teachers if you have any concerns about whether they're meeting the requirements. You check Jupyter and you see they're lacking something in Alex, because sometimes parents just need a little guidance too on how to actually understand whether they're meeting the requirement by checking the system.
Hi, I'm Miss Rose. I'm your child's 6th grade science teacher, and I am going to quickly go through what we do in science. First and foremost, a welcome letter was sent home, which I'll get into later. So right now, if you notice, if you looked in your child's notebook, you'll see that they have handouts pertaining to thinking like a scientist, meaning that we're looking at scientific inquiry right now, like what does that entail in terms of science? So these units 1 through 4 was also included on the welcome letter. And what we're doing now, kind of layout, it doesn't matter what topic we're studying, we'll still be following that scientific inquiry, meaning the scientific method through labs and so on. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. And this is the breakdown for science grade. Classwork 25%, homework 10%, tests and quizzes 25%, lab reports 30%, participation and effort 10%. And here's a breakdown. Classwork, guided note taking. If you notice your child's notebook, you'll see where they have handouts with that provide visuals, because they don't have a 6th grade science textbook. Let me clarify. We do have, it's just that 6th grade science is broken down into different topics. And instead of giving the students multiple textbooks, I kind of break the notes down on a need basis. And so it's very important for them to have a notebook just for science. I did notice that some of them have math in their notebook. That's not a good idea based on what was explained for the math department and students needing to take accurate notes. Because if there's a case where we collect the notebooks and it's like you need it in math class. So perhaps I would recommend right now, maybe check your child's notebook just to ensure that they do have the subjects separated. And there were some students who didn't have notebooks. They were given notebook in science, and I'm pretty sure the other classes would have accommodated as well. So again, classwork 25%, mini hands-on activities, individual and group project, along with discussions. Homework is 10%. It may be assigned as a Google form, which they just turned in an assignment that was due yesterday, which was via Google form. And they also have a homework that's coming up, that's a handout. So it will be a combination of different things. And I do assign Edpuzzle videos weekly. We didn't start yet, but we will start next week. And electronic assignments are timestamped, and therefore I can see the submission history. So many times I'll receive an email, oh, my child received an M, or Miss Rose, why you gave me an M when I turned the assignment in. That simply means that at the time when I went to check the assignment or when the assignment was due, your child did not have it, and that's why it says an M next to their name, which means that now it's late. And if it's late, it cannot receive full credit. They can still turn it in a timely manner, but it will not be full credit. Of course, there's some circumstances where we do accommodate at New Voices, but that's on a need basis again. Thank you. Lab reports, 30%. Investigations, which we did one this week, it was a mini one. They didn't have to write a lab report. So, but when it says lab participation, meaning that if there's an activity going on, the child is actively participating and being a part of the discussion and so on. And written outcome of a lab could be where they're just telling, okay, what was the outcome? What do you think? And I think, again, if you looked in your child's notebook this week, you'll see where we did an activity and we're still having discussions on that activity. So some activity will lead to a lab report, but not all activities will lead to a lab report. And I will, they will know how to do the lab report at the end of 6th grade science, because they're required to do at least one per marking period. And at this time, they don't know how to do it, which is why I'm going to assist, and I will say this. Actually, let's go to the next slide. Sorry. Tests and quizzes, 25%. Advance notice is always given. So if you see your child studying and say, oh, we just found out about this the night before, absolutely, absolutely not true. Like in all the classes, they know ahead of time when they're having assignments. And the test or quiz could be online or during class. And again, it's based on whatever we do in class. They're never going to get a surprise. It's never going to be on anything that we didn't cover in class. And again, your child's notebook is their primary resource. So if your child is coming to school on a regular basis and taking notes, they should be fine. And missed work policy. Missed work must be made up in a timely manner, meaning that you were absent 2 days ago. By Monday, the latest, I should get to work rather than waiting until the end of September, because once we have moved on past the topic, the work is no longer valid. They can make it out, but then it loses its academic value. And class notes, if they're absent, they can get it from a friend. Handouts, we do have a handout bin in the back of the classroom. Everyone knows where it is. They can come in during their lunch, take the handout, and have a conversation. Miss Rose, what did I miss, and so on. Next slide, please. And science help is mostly to make up a lab or a test. And that's on Wednesdays, periods 4 to 6, during my lunch period, which means that it's optional for the students. It's not mandated. I will not be going to chase the student down. They're not being forced, because again, this is my lunch period that I'm giving up to help students who may have missed a class. And again, it's for makeup labs or tests only. It's not a replacement class, because what I do notice, like I'll give an example for today. We started the activity on Monday. We continued on Tuesday. There were several students who were absent from different classes. And quite a few of them did not come up yesterday. And so today, when we were following up with the activity, oh, Miss Rose, I wasn't here on Tuesday. Okay, the letter was sent home. And this information is posted on Google Classroom. Did you make an attempt to come and see me so you can make up the work? No. Oh, because I didn't have your class today. It doesn't matter if you have my class or not. The room is still the same. It hasn't moved. And I'm always in the room. So again, it's just a matter of having a conversation with your child and just letting them know, okay, this is middle school, and so more is required. And it's just a matter of asking for help and making that effort to get the help. And we can move on to the next slide. So sorry. Okay. Assignment notification, as was mentioned by the humanities teachers, copied in student planners. When they have assignments to copy, I check the planners before they put it away, because some students will not copy, unfortunately. But I do this in the beginning. Once we hit November going on December, there's a routine, and so students just need to be responsible. And if there's a quiz or a lab report coming up, it will be posted on Jupyter Calendar in addition to Google Classroom. And just a reminder, Google Classroom is helpful, but it's not the only source for science. Students' planners, their notebooks, and so on. And an M means missing. Many times I get an email, oh, that's an error. No, it's not. It means your child did not do the work, and therefore I put an M in that space. And after maybe a day, I would say probably by the end of the week, which is when I go and look at my grades again, if the student still did not turn the assignment in, that M changes to a 0, and then it can no longer be made up. So again, it's the student's responsibility to complete the work in a timely manner. And just some optional classroom donations, because we're in, I like to call it snot season. And so tissues go by pretty fast. And then we need I don't need hand sanitizer. It's on the list, but I have more than enough. But disinfecting wipes, because of the season that we're heading into. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Lindsay Bernstein. I'm the social worker at New Voices.
I work alongside Dina Miller, who is the guidance counselor. Both of us provide social and emotional support for students that either have counseling on their IEP, but we also provide that support for all students in the school building. If your student does have counseling as a service on their IEP and they are in 601 through 604, they're most likely meeting with me. If they're in 605 and 606, then they probably are meeting with Dina. If your student doesn't have counseling on their IEP, but needs to check in, I sit in room 310, as does Dina Miller, and they can always let their teacher know that they're needing that support, and their teacher will call one of us to make sure that we're available. And we do the best that we can to meet with as many students as possible. If we're not there, they can always leave us a note. We'll come find them at another time. I also know that some students don't necessarily feel comfortable, especially in the beginning of 6th grade, seeking out that support in person. So they can also always find one of us on Jupiter. They can send us a message that they want to talk, and we will go and find them. If you feel like your student needs additional support or ongoing support, you can send me an email or send Dina an email, and we can have that conversation. But otherwise, just looking forward to working with all of your children.
All right, I will quickly address a couple of questions I noticed in the chat. So a couple of folks asked if this slideshow will be shared. Yes, the slideshow will be sent out later. There was another question about whether parent-teacher conferences will be in person or on Zoom. They will be on Zoom. Teachers will send, as the week approaches, teachers will send out signups so that you can sign up for a slot. Another question is about whether there are field trips. That's sort of to be determined. It would be nice, but we also have to make sure that it fits in with all the other things that are going on during school. Do all classes have the same curriculum or subject topics? For example, are they all learning about Egypt? Yes, everything that was gone over in this slideshow at this meeting applies to all of the 6th grade students. Do kids need to bring all supplies back and forth daily should anything be left home? Students are expected to have all appropriate notebooks and some kind of writing implement. And I know that for some humanities classes, they're also expected to have books with them on a daily basis. So if those things are not needed, they can be left at home. But my guess is that most things are going to end up going back and forth. I'm going to give the chat one more second. It looks like there's a couple of personal questions here. I'll reply to those in just a minute. The teachers did all tell the students about the no AI policy. This was something that was explicitly discussed in every class. Does the school offer tutoring if a child needs? Teachers are available. Some teachers are available at different points during the day. The school doesn't have any particular tutoring program. There is an after-school program, which I am not an expert in. I suggest that you reach out to Ms. Para, P-A-R-R-A, to find out more about that. Do classes have the same amount of homework? Not every single class is going to move at exactly the same speed, and so not all of the homework is going to be exactly the same. How can we get iReady to work at home? You should have your child go ask their humanities teacher for help with that.
Miriam, do you mind if I address that real quick?
Sure.
So I know a lot of, because we've gotten some emails about this. I know that for some reason, some kids on their iPads are having a hard time when they're at home. I don't really know why it's not working for them sometimes. No matter what, you cannot use an app for iReady. You have to go through TeachHub. The students all know how to get on it through TeachHub because we use it in school. They have to go through TeachHub. click on the iReady link through Teach Hub, and that's how they should be able to get on it. If for some reason, I mean, truthfully, it's better to go in it through a computer or laptop or something like that. That's the best way to go. If that is not available, please let your child's teacher know so that we can make arrangements for them to make sure that they get it done in school, whether it be during lunchtime or during some like the end of the periods. But I know that it is more difficult on an iPad. We've had students last year who were able to do it, and now this year they're in 7th grade. They came back and said, I'm having trouble with my iPad getting onto iReady. So please don't give up trying. Don't download the app. You're not going to be able to get in that way. But just let your kids know, you guys get in touch with us and we'll try to help you out. Okay?
There was a suggestion from the chat to download the app and then go through Teach Hub. I don't know very much about this, but I have a lot of empathy for things not working the way you want them to.
Yeah.
Miss
We'll suggest that to some other kids too. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I do know that students have had some time in school to work on it as well. You should be able to, 1 second, Miss Rose. You should be able, a student who's having difficulty with iReady on their phone should try to follow these same instructions. I'm so sorry that I don't have any good solutions for this. But you got to go through Teach Hub. Miss Rose, take it.
Thank you. A question was asked about homework earlier, and I forgot to mention that on the slide. For science, I teach all the 6th grade classes, and I see each class 4 days per week. So for that reason, homework is not given every day in science because it's humanly impossible for me to grade all 6 classes given homework every day. So twice a week, and it all depends. If we're working on a lab report, it might be a case where they don't have any that week, because I try to do most of the work in class, and that's to save myself from sending lab reports home and getting many emails about not remembering what to do or the lab reports not coming back to school. So for that reason, in science, we spend a lot of times doing the actual work in class. So occasionally they do get homework, but it's not every day. Thank you.
There was a question of how many science experiments will be done this year in science.
That is a difficult question because it depends on the topic and it depends on the students. And I say this to mean that a discussion, an activity could take a very long time because I might say, okay, we're going to do this over a 2-day period. But if the students are not fully grasping what we're doing, it may extend to more than 2 days. And so it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly how many for the school year, but there will definitely be quite a few.
I just want to remind parents, if you guys have any questions for, specific teachers, please use this time to email us. We are available to answer emails. If you need to set up a meeting with us, privately, please do that. Again, I am one of the humanities teachers for 605 and 606. More than happy to answer any questions that you might have. Okay.
I just want to add that it's way easier, at least for me personally, to be reached through Jupyter, because then I have everything right there. We get a lot of junk on our DOE email, so sifting through it is hard. It's just easier. It'll be more direct if you reach out to me through Jupyter. And I know everybody's on because I checked all of you. So that's terrific. Thank you.
All right. With that, thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate your taking your afternoon to come listen to us and meet us. If you have any questions, as Ms. Piscopia said, please feel free to email your child's teachers. You can see up on the screen right now, I have a list of which teachers are for which classes, and all the ones in the yellow box at the bottom are for all of the students. This presentation will be sent to you through Jupyter, and there will be a recording of this Zoom available soon, which will also be sent to you through Jupyter. All right, have a great afternoon, and we look forward to working with you this year.
And thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, y'all, it looks like the questions have stopped. I'm gonna close the Zoom. Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Night, thanks.
Hello.